Hello and welcome to the Witness to Grace channel. I'm delighted to have everyone back again. We are going to be discussing today the depravity of mankind and the effect of sin. Should be very interesting and insightful, so we hope that this will be a blessing and add to it and add to your knowledge and understanding of God's Word. Depravity is defined as the state of being depraved or corrupted. It's a vitiated state of moral character, general badness of character, wickedness of mind or heart, and an absence of religious feeling and principle. The position in view here is that humankind's entire nature, from their thoughts, their actions, from the desires of their heart, their intentions, they're all corrupt. Since the sinful act of Adam. I had a friend tell me one time when we were discussing church, just in general, very briefly, he said to me, he says, I'm a good person, I know right from wrong, and I would assume that a lot of people feel this way. Now, but don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people within the realm of society that do good things. People help people daily. People do great things for people. They give their time, their resources to helping people, to giving, and to really being a good and active part of society as a whole. But I'd venture to say that the instruments that my friend were using to measure his goodness, so to speak, were not certified by God, metaphorically speaking. So what does the Bible have to say about our goodness and who we are as it relates to the holiness that can be found within God? In Psalms chapter 14, verses 2 through 3, and I quote exclusively today from the King James Version, it states here that the Lord looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand and seek God. They are all gone aside. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good. No, not one. And in the definition that I gave earlier of depravity, it stated that there was a general wickedness of mind or heart. And it's interesting that in Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9, it states that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? The word heart here is defined in its Hebrew as very widely for the feelings, the will, and even the intellect. Likewise for the center of anything. That's Strong's numbers 3820. If you're interested in looking that up. So that also brings to mind to me the phrase that we hear a lot of times in our society. You should just follow your heart. Follow your heart. Well, I would like to state, in contradiction to that, is that I think that people should not follow their heart, but they should get out in front of that heart and lead it as the Holy Spirit provides the direction. Jesus speaks directly to this in Matthew chapter 15, verses 18 through 19, when he states that, "But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, and blasphemies." So what is sin? I found a great definition in Wayne Grudem's systematic theology, and I will quote him directly. It says that sin is any failure to conform to the moral law of God in act, attitude, or nature. And I like to emphasize that nature there, because the very nature of humankind is sinful and can be sinful. In 1 John chapter 1 verses 8, it states that if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. Furthermore, in Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 20, it states, "For there is not a just man upon earth that doeth good and sinneth not." Wow, that's very powerful there. And of course in Romans chapter 3 verse 23 it states that for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. So is there some sort of propensity to sin? Is there some sort of inherent deficiency within ourselves, within humankind, that we are just sinful? Is there evidence of this in the Bible? And of course in real life. I'm a father myself, and in my son I see it as he is younger, and that I never had to tell him how to disobey. I never had to teach him to disobey. I never had to teach him to think more so of himself and less of others. I never had to teach him these things, which are, immediately contradictory to the teachings that are found by Jesus and just the overall moral standards and teachings that we read about in the Bible. The challenge, of course, then, is to bring him up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, as found in Ephesians. That's the challenge, raising them up in the righteousness of God, in so much as we are capable of doing so. There's a couple passages in Psalms that speak very clearly to this. Psalm chapter 51 verse 5, it states that, "Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me." And also in Psalm chapter 58 verse 3, it states, "The wicked are estranged from the womb, they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies." Thus, humankind, we can see here, just from these passages that we're reading, before a holy and righteous God who lacks nothing, he lacks no deficiency in moral character. He's morally perfect, righteous, his judgments are pure, he's just, he's all these things. But in light of who we are as created beings and as humankind, there is an absence of righteousness. There's an emptiness. We are devoid of some of these characteristics that exemplify and that are inherent of God himself. And I would like to also quote Grudem here. It says that sin is directly opposite to all that is good in that character of God. And just as God necessarily and eternally delights in himself and all that he is, so God necessarily and eternally hates sin. It is, in essence, the contradiction of the excellence of his moral character. It contradicts his holiness, and he must hate it.